Welcome to Game Time Live. We are at Soldier Field as the Redskins getting set to take on the Chicago Bears. Larry Michael and Andrew Walker, and the weather report has been something we've kept an eye on, and obviously, as we're standing here next to the field, about an hour and a half before kickoff, it is wet, but it is not raining.
Yeah, I mean, they call it the Windy City. You expect that. You expect a little rain, but right now it's holding off. We're soggy here on the sidelines, but looks like they've done a pretty good job keeping it off the field.
All right, let's step aside, Andrew, and check out some of the guys warming up. Big game for the Redskins. Both these teams are 5-7. The Redskins, of course, tied atop the NFC East. Philadelphia playing Buffalo at 1 o'clock today, so we'll keep an eye on that score as well. And we have the inactives, the first place you can get them right here on Game Time Live.
Yes, sir. So we have Robert Griffin III, Andre Roberts, Jerron Johnson, Chris Thompson, which we knew going in, Perry Riley, Ari Quanjo, and Jerron Ham. So that means Derek Carrier is good to go at the tight end position. Should help out in the run game a lot.
Also means Pierre Thomas will see action, recently acquired. Obviously best known for his time with the New Orleans Saints, but he has been on the sideline most of this year. Played for San Francisco, I believe, week 1, and has been available ever since. Do you think he'll be ready?
You know what? I think he will. He talked about on Friday. He talked about how there's a lot of things that are the same, and you hear this a lot. It's just the verbiage and getting used to how a coach calls something. But he said his role maybe in the run game is going to be limited, but he thinks he might get some good action on third down, both blocking and maybe catching the ball, which he does very well.
Let's take the camera to the center of the field and check out Kirk Cousins right there at the 45-yard line warming up. And Kirk's used to these type of conditions, having played in Michigan State, very comfortable here in the Midwest, as I know you are, Andrew Walker, as well. And for Kirk Cousins and the Redskins, man, can they find a way to win on the road?
That's been the problem all year. Winless on the road. There's nothing different, like we've said many times, about a road trip than a home game, other than that great crowd at FedEx Field, which is a big factor. But team stays in a hotel, has meetings the night before, gets on a bus and rides to the stadium and plays football. It's all the same thing. But yeah, they have to get over that hump. Kirk does, though, play very well here in Midwestern games. We remember that Cleveland game in 2012. And then although it was preseason, I think last year here in Chicago played very well in the second half. He's very used to these conditions, and he played a pretty good game last week if you look at it. And, the team just couldn't get anything going with its run and got stalled a lot. But, the guy's improved every week, and he looks ready to go today.
I'm going to ask Daryl Johnson to swing that thing to the left and check out some of the Redskins' defensive linemen, and it was a question mark whether Jason Hatcher would be able to play in this ball game. I got hit by some friendly fire during that Dallas Cowboy game, and there is Jason Hatcher loosening up those arms. He is going to go, and was there ever a doubt?
I don't think so. This guy's a veteran. He knows what's at stake here down the line, still tied for first place with owning the tiebreakers. A big win on the road here, and the Redskins are really positioning themselves well for down the stretch for an NFC East title. So Jason Hatcher isn't going to miss this game unless he can't move his arm, and it looks like he's stretching it out and doing just fine.
And also it looks like Frank Kearse, because of the injury to Stephen Paya, Frank Kearse will see some action in this game. And I know he's a guy, here he is to the left wearing the white T-shirt. He's a guy that's been he's been cut about 4 or 5 times this year and brought back in roster moves. He's been the most versatile man when it comes to coming and going.
Right. He's that kind of that 54th guy. He's, when the team makes a move on other ends of the ball or other moves on defense, he's the guy that gets cut or is inactive. But he's a guy who had 3 sacks last year. He made some plays, so he showed he can do it. And it's a very deep defensive line group, and with Stephen Paya out, we'll see what he can do.
Redskins and Bears rivalry. I call it a rivalry because these are 2 of the legacy franchises in the league. Their first game was back in 1932. This will be the 49th meeting. The Redskins lead the series, 24 wins, 23 losses, and 1 tie. Very even, but the Redskins have won 5 straight. So you look at the Redskins have not been able to win on the road. They've lost 5 straight on the road, and the Bears have only won 1 time at home. So something's got to give here.
Yeah, exactly. Something's got to give, and it's kind of weird because we all know how good the Bears fans are here, and you think they could pull off a couple more wins. And they've had really close games. They've been inconsistent this year, and their record shows that. But they've been really good at times, and they start off the season really bad. So it kind of goes. They go as Jay Cutler goes, which isn't surprising. And Cutler started off pretty rough, then got hot, and then now he's kind of been cold the last couple weeks. So hopefully the Redskins can get to him and get in his face, and maybe D'Angelo Hall can turn in 4 or 5 interceptions again, huh?
Yeah, I hope so. And there is Trent Williams, and they're going to try to get this running game going today. Last time out against the Cowboys, another subpar running performance for the Redskins, averaging 2.8 a carry. And that's not good enough, especially for a team that wants to be known to be able to run the football. Redskins have not been able to do it except for the first couple games of the year.
Right, and just kind of jumping in, one of my main keys today, you have to run the ball. The Bears rank 29th in the league in stopping the run. They allow 127.9 yards per game, so you have to run the ball. This is like the Saints game where you have to pass the ball because their secondary is so bad. You have to run the ball against this Bears defense if you want to win.
Well, how are you going to do it? I know that's one of your keys. Before we keep going down the road, it's easy to say. How do you do it?
It just takes – it's so simple. It sounds simple. It just takes such a cohesive effort from everyone. It takes the running backs getting the right cuts. Sometimes that's been an issue. It takes the guys up front being all on the same page. Sometimes that's been an issue. But also I think Derek Carrier being back will be huge. I think having the 2 tight end sets blocking, and he's a good blocker, going to his end will help. They've been trying to use that big package with Tom Compton and Ty Nsekhe with limited kind of examples, but not very good success in the last game. So hopefully the 2 tight end sets will help both not only in the run but in the pass, because Carrier, and we all know what Jordan Reed can do.
Here's Deshaun Jackson inside the 20-yard line. He's wearing the gold shoes. Probably going to get fined for those gold shoes, but he can afford the fine. And the Redskins passing game, I think, with Kirk Cousins and Deshaun, obviously the deep ball, a lot of folks want to see the Redskins set up the run by passing the ball more often. But as you said, the weakness of this Bears defense, at least statistically, is stopping the run. All right, I know you got a few more keys here. What's next?
You have to take advantage, Larry. The team last week and the week before against the New York Giants just didn't take advantage of some really good key opportunities after their defense got turnovers. In the last 2 games, defense has produced 6 turnovers. It's turned into 1 total field goal for the Redskins. So Redskins have to take advantage of those opportunities, at least get field goals on the board. But, we all know on the road you need touchdowns, not field goals. We talked about the run offense. You have to run the ball. Got to cut off Cutler. That's what I say. Got to fluster this guy. He's actually, as D'Angelo Hall said, a lot more mobile than he's given credit for. He doesn't like to be mobile, but when he is on the run, he has a strong arm, as we all know. But we also all know he can be forced into a lot of turnovers. Come home happy. That's kind of my last theme. We haven't had a happy road trip all year. Got to get one here, especially with what's on the line. Got a tough game against the Buffalo Bills next week. They're an inconsistent team that plays well one week and not so well the next. So if the Redskins can continue playing pretty well at home, unlike in that Dallas game, like they did before that, and they win today, then they're in pretty good position moving forward.
One thing that's interesting is both these 2 teams are coming off of real tough losses. For the Redskins, we know the Monday night loss to the Dallas Cowboys, a game the Redskins very well could have won that game, obviously, and it would have given them a little bit of a cushion on top of the NFC East. They would have been up by a game instead of being tied on top at 5-7, as they still continue to try to get to 500. Maybe a step closer here, but the Bears on this very field, and we saw Robbie Gould warming up. I mean, he missed a 20-something yard field goal to win the game, and this team lost to the San Francisco 49ers and Blaine Gabbert. And I can't believe that they did that, but hey, how do they respond? This is a tough situation for the Bears coming home where they really embarrassed themselves last week.
Yeah, you talk about atrocious defense. They let Gabbert just take off up the middle for a touchdown, and then the overtime game-winning touchdown. But for Robbie Gould, I mean, this guy's been a solid kicker for years. He makes a kick like that in his sleep, and he just missed it. It was the second field goal he missed in that game. So, we all know this can be a tough place to kick the ball, but Gould's got that down packed, but it didn't happen, and that's just been part of their season so far, their inconsistencies, unable to capitalize here at home. So hopefully they continue that today.
Larry Michael, Andrew Walker, you are watching Game Time Live. We're at Soldier Field, kickoff at 1 o'clock, East Coast time. Of course, we're an hour behind actually here in Chicago. And the weather report, we expect rain during this ball game, but it has opened up probably just for us to get this show in, I think. Maybe the skies have held off while we do this show. And there is the newest Redskin. We're going to get a view of him, Pierre Thomas. I'll get Daryl's. He's coming right in front of us here. You can't quite see him. Tariq El-Bashir is in front of him. He's going to come right in front of you here in a second. And Pierre Thomas signed, 3 days ago?
Yeah, I mean, he signed on Friday, tried out on Thursday, and talk about an impressive guy, and he's wearing Deshaun Jackson shorts, so that's how new he is. But talk about an impressive guy. He shook all of our hands as he did his first interview. He stuck around probably 30 minutes, 45 minutes after practice, was hitting the sleds hard. He's a veteran. He's a veteran leader. He's a Super Bowl champion. He played well in that Super Bowl game. He had a nice touchdown catch against the Colts, and he's a guy that I think can really help, not only immediately maybe on third down, but just help the room in general. Maybe some fresh blood in there to get things going in the run game, which we know can be really good, just hasn't been consistent this year.
Andrew, one thing the Redskins have been able to do is get some takeaways. What they haven't been able to do is get points off of turnovers. Last week, a great example, 3 turnovers, 3 points off those turnovers. And, Cutler, known to toss it up there. Last time we were in this stadium, D'Angelo Hall had 4 interceptions and 1 pick six. How important is it in this game for the Redskins to kind of break through and get some points off these turnovers?
Well, I think that's one of the main things the Redskins have to do. I asked Kirk Cousins about that this week leading up to the game. He said, against the Cowboys, it's weird. They felt they were moving the ball all right. Their offense was working all right, but it just got stalled just out of field goal range several times. Tressway had to punt 5 times. He had a really good game punting the ball, but that's not what you want to hear. You don't want to hear your punters had a good game because you want your offense scoring touchdowns. So yeah, if you're the Redskins offense, if you're Jay Gruden and Sean McVay, you have to move the ball and find creative ways to get into the red zone and get touchdowns and at least get field goals and come away with a victory here.
For Andrew Walker, I'm Larry Michael. We thank you for watching Game Time Live. Andrew, tell us what the fans can expect from Redskins.com and your crew during this game.
Well, I'm having a little heartburn after some deep dish pizza, but other than that, we have our great coverage. Brian Van Balen, Steven Zarda with his Zarda Vision, Jake Kring-Schreifels on the blog will offer you the kind of the social taste of the game. But just stick with us at Redskins and Redskins Snap on Snapchat, and you'll get a nice behind the scenes look at today's game.
All right, my friend, thank you so much. The outlook on this game, hey, at 5-7, the Redskins cannot afford a loss here. If you run the table, if you win your last 4, certainly you go ahead and you win the division. You have a fantastic record. If you win this ball game, that's all that matters, getting this W here. Next week, the final home game of the year, then 2 in a row on the road at Philadelphia and at Dallas to wrap up the season. But this is critical for the Redskins, no doubt about that, finding a way to win their first game on the road. They haven't won on the road since October of 2014 when they beat the Dallas Cowboys, and this is essential. Get this win here in Chicago and go home with a win and run the record to 6-7. Once again, thank you for checking out Game Time Live. We urge you to check out our radio broadcast. Yours truly, Sonny Jurgensen, Chris Cooley, Rick Doc Walker, coming your way at 1 o'clock. And for the crew, thanks for watching Game Time Live, and enjoy the game.